Hey, Amie.
Yeah, Juan.
Give me that beat.
It's Baseball Shangri-La with Amie Cuevas and Juan Ramirez.
What's up, party people? She is Amie Cuevas. I am Juan Ramirez. You are listening or watching Baseball Shangri-La. If you are listening to us on the audio portion of the show, please make sure you're subscribed to the podcast. Rate us, write us a review, help spread the word. Tell everybody, invite them to come join the party. If you're watching us on YouTube, make sure you're subscribed to our YouTube channel. Hit that notification button. Give us a thumbs up. Leave us your comments. We love your engagement. And most importantly, make sure you're following us on social media on X at BB Shangri-La, on Instagram, YouTube, and Bluesky at Baseball Shangri-La. Amie, ¿cómo estás?
Hi.
Hi.
We traveled into the future, went into the past. I never know with daylight savings time.
That's right. We lost an hour, I guess, is what they say. Amie, before we start, there's some breaking news that we need to get to. Before we get into our baseball, at the time we are recording this, it is Monday, ladies and gentlemen, March 10th. So there is some breaking news on March 10th. But before we get to that breaking news, Amie, do you want to address any of the comments that we got in the comments corner?
Well, we did get a shout out, if you can call it that, from David Wants a Taco for the motorcycle noise in the last episode. So I appreciate him playing along and while we keep him safe. And apparently he's going to be coming into town in October for a game. Not October, August in Ontario. Get my vowels in the right order. So we might have some like a conglomeration of listeners at some point during the season.
That's right. You know, people like to think this is a local show. It's not a local show. It's not even a national show. Even though David Wants a Taco watches us from outside of California, we are an international show because of our good friend Siamese Vodka. So let's just say that the tentacles of Baseball Shangri-La reach wide, ladies and gentlemen, wide and far.
Are we like a kraken?
Yes, we are the Kraken.
Release it. Speaking of movies, I was a little dismayed because one of my favorite movies after Tombstone, finally made it to streaming after almost 20 years, and you have never seen it. And in the span of that conversation, you had never seen one of my other favorite movies, and you are a movie file.
Okay, what do you fill me in? What are we talking about here?
So the movie The Fall. That was
that's right.
Yeah, I think it's a Spike Jonze flick. And then
wait, Spike Jonze directed that?
Mm-hmm. I believe so. I sent you the Wikipedia article. I see you didn't
You're
open
going
it.
by Wikipedia. All right. Would you like to make a little wager
On if Spike Jonze was involved?
Yeah, not involved. That he directed that movie.
Maybe I said the wrong thing. Tarsem was one of the directors, but Spike Jonze was involved in it. Did I say the wrong movie term?
Yes. Tarsem Singh is the director.
Okay, but Spike Jonze is involved.
Is he a producer of some kind?
Maybe. I don't know.
Okay.
You're the movie person.
Okay, go back, play the tape, ladies and gentlemen. I heard her say director.
Am I wrong here? So I got the wrong movie word in there. Movies are not my.
Am I wrong there? Look,
I
want to give you credit.
So no, I'm just saying. Okay, so take out the movie.
It was presented by David Fincher and Spike Jonze.
Okay. What is
I don't want you to feel attacked. I don't want.
No. I don't. No, teach me something real quick. So they're like, here, look at this great film by Tarsem. Is that
that's pretty much what they're doing, and brought to you by Spike Jonze. What that is that they're trying to help.
Their names are in the credits because I saw it in there and I was like, oh, I need to remember to tell this to Juan.
They either helped with the financing to help get that movie made, or they helped with getting more exposure to that movie because they're big names.
That's it. I was excited because I was like, it's all these people.
Who knows? I don't know what the relationship is with Tarsem and them. So Tarsem may have shown them cuts of the movie, and Fincher and Spike Jonze may have helped and given him feedback.
And they were like, this is great. Put our names in the credits.
What's the other movie?
What Dreams May Come.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, I have not seen those. I'll put them on my.
Those are
There's a
my
lot of movies.
Those are my artsy movies.
Those are a lot of movies. Look, there's a lot of movies I still haven't seen. So
I figured you had seen them all. Honestly,
I try to
wow.
watch a movie a day. I try to watch a movie a day, but that's a pretty tall order sometimes. Sometimes,
Well, Juan, I'm not used to you being human. Wow. I don't know if I can go on with the show at this point.
well, we're off to a rocky start, aren't we? Let me see if I can save the show. This is to address as we were saying, we are an international show, but our dear friend David Wants a Taco, when he comes out to Califas in the summer, he did ask for some taco recommendations, and that's how we know that David Wants a Taco has been a follower.
That he wants a taco?
Well, exactly. Not only that he wants a taco, but this is how we know that he's been a follower of us for a while, because he knows when you need taco advice, who do you go to? So I know he mentioned that he'd already hit some of the spots that I had already recommended. So, David, I'm going to give you some new recommendations for you.
Wow, Juan hasn't even taken me to those places. That's cool.
Okay.
I thought we were friends. I thought you were my amigo.
Look, friend, I will take you. I will take you there, friend.
Okay.
So I recommend Sonora Town, David. That is in downtown LA. I know I've been on the record as not being a fan of the Oppressor's Tortilla, and for those of you who are not aware of what the Oppressor's Tortilla is, those are tortillas de harina, or as we call them, flour tortillas. And it's not that I hate them. I don't. I do like them. I just, for
They
me,
have a purpose.
when you talk about a street taco, I think of tortillas de maíz.
It has
right?
to be corn.
Exactly. But Sonora Town is a fantastic taco place, and all their tacos are served with tortillas de harina. So I definitely recommend that place for sure, David, and that's in downtown LA. I'm going to give you two other recommendations because you're not staying in Los Angeles, because you're going to be out in the Inland Empire. You may want to go ahead. I know they have multiple locations. I believe they have one in Huntington Park. So when you're driving into Los Angeles to the Dodger game, or maybe if you're going to go to LA for the day, I recommend a place called Tacos Los Cholos. As I said, they have multiple locations. They won LA Tacos Taco of the Year. If you're not familiar with LA Taco, they have what they call Taco Madness, which is basically a competition of all these tacos vying for the best taco. And Taco Los Cholos won. And they have locations in Orange County. They have one in Huntington Beach. They have one in Anaheim. They have one in Fullerton. But I do know they have one in Huntington Park. If you do go to Taco Los Cholos, David, I highly recommend their Anaheim taco. And I'm just letting you know, it's a big taco. It is a big. It's not your regular street taco. It is a big taco.
That's what she said.
Eso es lo que dijo ella. That is it's delicious. I do want to warn you. I'm sure Huntington Park is just the same way it is in Anaheim, Fullerton, and in Huntington Beach. That place is always packed. The line is out the door, so don't get overwhelmed.
Bring a book.
When you walk up and you see the line wrapped up, we just went there this past weekend. My daughter saw the line and went, "Oh no!" And I was like, "Look, if you're gonna have tacos, you might as well have good tacos, right?" So it's
Taco Los Cholos. Builds up an appetite in the line. It all works out.
And then the last one I'm going to recommend, and it's going to be closer to where you're staying. I know you're staying in Ontario, but this place is in Rancho Cucamonga. It is called Taco Los Carnales. That is a good place that's close to where you're staying at. So those are the three recommendations.
And for anybody else who has taco recommendations, if you have great taco places, put them in the comments.
Absolutely. Send recommendations to our fellow listener or viewer. We love him. David Wants a Taco, loyal supporter of this show. Give him taco recommendations. As I said, downtown LA, just to recap, the Sonora Town, If Huntington Park, if you make it that way, Taco Los Cholos, and for your neck of the woods where you're going to be staying out there in Rancho Cucamonga, Taco Los Carnales. Those are fantastic. Do you have any taco recommendations for our friend David?
I don't today, but I was gonna say maybe that's when we need our batting cages field trip.
Oh,
Because
and Cerebro with the shout out. Cerebro was fishing for an invite for the batting cages. So you're right, Amy. I was not aware that this batting cages thing is starting to become a thing.
it'll be our signature whatever
We're
for
going back to
Baseball
our
Shangri
roots.
LA. BSLA in the batting cages.
We're going back to our roots, ladies and gentlemen. Baseball, tacos. Pretty soon, don't get me started. I'll start talking about tequila. And
see, that's all you. I just know my ribs are sore again because oh man, 120 pitches. I didn't miss it.
damn, look at
Yeah.
you. She had to
Yeah.
work out some stress at the batting cages this past weekend,
Oh,
huh?
you know it.
And you know this man. So thank you very much, David, for that remark, by the way. It feels good to talk about tacos. As I said, I want to bring this back to the old days where it's about baseball, tacos, and tequila. That's what life is all about, ladies and gentlemen. Doyers,
two
baseball,
out of
and
three.
tequila.
All right.
You don't like tequila, do you?
I don't drink. I'm a water drinker. Water and tea, occasional coffee. Today is a coffee day.
Okay. I see. It's
That
all right.
just means more tequila for you. So
That's right. Give me all the tequilas, ladies and gentlemen. All right, let's get into some baseball talk because we have some breaking news. And a pleasant good evening to you, wherever you may be. Amy, what is the breaking news?
oh, hold on. It's on the other page. Sorry, it was so breaking. I had to write it at the back. Dave Roberts is, as he's going into his 10th season with LA, he just signed a new contract, according to source of a source that's close to a source of a source. I think John Heyman actually broke the news. So he just signed a 4-year, $32.4 million contract. He's going to be managing through the 2029 season, and that equates to about $8.1 million a year. So he's going to be back. He doubled his contract from the last time around, and he's technically the highest paid manager based on his annual average value.
I'm glad that you specified that he's doubling his contract.
Yes, because he's in the final 3 years of the last contract extension, which was $4 million per year.
And so I think that it's an important way to look at it, in that he doubled his salary. So in any way you look at it, when you get to double your salary, that means you're winning, right? Now, this
when was the last time you doubled your salary?
Exactly. I mean, it is the worst kept secret, this extension. We knew, especially after they won the World Series, they really didn't have a choice. Like they had to extend him. I will say this, Amy. There's two ways of looking at this.
Uh-oh. Are we about to get the Prince of Darkness view first?
You may, and I realize that I'm being a little Prince of Dark. Actually, no, I don't think it is Prince of Darkness.
Are we Duke of Darkness? Are we going?
No, I actually think I'm standing up for Dave Roberts. I want to get your feedback on it, but these are the two ways. The first way you look at it is this way. Dave Roberts, obviously, I think, likes working for the Dodgers. I think the Dodgers like having Dave Roberts as their manager. So I don't think this was going to be an acrimonious negotiation. I think Dave Roberts probably looked at this the way Oscar Hernandez looked at this negotiation, and it was like, money's not that important to me. I want to be with the Dodgers. We're gonna figure this out. So, which is probably the way everybody looks at it, right?
Mm-hmm.
The second way to look at it is one that I looked at for a couple of seconds, and that was, I kind of feel like Dave Roberts is being taken for granted. And this is why I think it's very important that you specified that he doubled his salary from his last contract. And that's because I'm looking at Craig Counsell's contract. Right. When you go to negotiate this, right, I'm looking at Craig Counsell. And what did Craig Counsell get? He got 5 years and $8 million a year. Right. So for me, that's the bottom line. Right. With Dave Roberts, like that is the minimum. I'm getting $8 million and I'm getting 5 years.
Do we know if any other manager is anywhere close to $8 million? Because I didn't look.
Do me a favor, if you can, look up. I want to see what Terry Francona's salary is with the Rojos. because he just recently came back. And Terry Francona, to me, is probably the only manager out there that has the same resume as Dave Roberts. So I'm curious as to what the Rojos were paying Terry Francona. But I'll just say this. I'm a little surprised at the number of years.
14 million over 3 years, according to Google.
14 million over 3 years. Okay, so Dave Roberts, again, he set the record for, per average per year. All I'm saying is this, Amie. I would think, considering that Craig Counsell hasn't won any World Series, yes, he's made teams competitive. They're always in the hunt, but no World Series rings. I would have thought that Dave Roberts was going to get between the $8 million to $10 million range.
Mhm.
But I would have thought he would have gotten a little more job security in terms of the number of years. So that's why, to me, it's a little surprising that they only went to 4. Now, mind you, we don't know. It could have been Dave Roberts who was like, hey, I only want 4. What? Why are you judging me? Now what?
I'm not judging because I think we're adorable because you go one way and I go the other where I'm like, well, maybe Dave Roberts was like 4 years and I'm done. Like I want to go live my life. Maybe he gave that. And I don't know. Like I wasn't there. I'm not a source of a source. Maybe I was the source. But like that's the stuff like we don't know. And so who knows? Maybe they came at it amicably. Maybe it was an overpay. Maybe like there's some people who are like Shohei Ohtani, absolutely worth 700 million. Juan Soto, I don't know why the Mets paid that much. And so, people do weird things with salaries.
That's all I'm saying is that's why I said the first scenario is probably the most likely scenario, and that's the way that everyone looks at it.
I
For
was
me,
shocked it was 8.1. I was like,
exactly,
yes,
but it's
yes,
all,
doubled, but 8. Huh. Okay.
and that's the way I was looking at it. That's why I think it's important that you made that distinction that he's doubling his salary from his last contract. But for me, the way I'm looking at it is, wait a minute, Craig Counsell's getting 8 million. And you give Dave Roberts 8.1? Like I said, I was expecting between the range of 8 million to 10 million. But
I could see 10, but I could also see Dave Roberts being like, I don't need to be greedy.
Exactly. And look, the thing of the matter is we talked about this a little bit at the end of the last year. And that was, Dave Roberts winning 2 World Series almost makes him a Hall of Famer, I think. If a lock to be a Hall of Famer. There's a good likelihood if things go right, and I know you don't like what ifs, but he could have 3 World Series, and so that's why I just I know it's a stretch on my part, it really is, but I guess I'm trying to make this point because it is to give Dave Roberts his flowers,
Mhm.
because I do feel sometimes he doesn't get enough credit for the managing job. Again, the job that he did in the postseason last year, I think a lot of people will agree was probably the best managing that he has done. And to have to sing for your supper, so to speak, instead of a team coming and rewarding you. And I guess you're right, Amie. He doubled his salary. I mean, where else are you going to get that? So I got to get Craig Counsell out of my head, Amie, is what needs to
It's
happen
well,
here.
but I get it though. Like, cause that when I broke it down, because I was like, oh, 4 years, 32.4 million. Oh, that's great. Wait a minute. It's 8.1. So he's like 100,000 over Craig Counsell. And Craig Counsell got 5 years. Like, interesting. But again, we don't that's where like some of this stuff I find it interesting and I could totally see your point. Like I could if they had said 10 million, I would have been like, yeah, he earned that. But we don't know what those conversations were. Maybe they were offering less and he got them up to 8.1. So
It's true, and that's why, again, I feel like he's taken for granted, because if they did lowball him, it goes back to why am I singing for my supper here? Like,
but are we use I know we're using Craig Counsell as the measuring stick, but if he's kind of the higher end of the measuring stick, again, I'll just use kind of Juan Soto in that respect. Not everybody was going to pay that much. So if, Chicago was willing to pay him that much, but maybe somebody else wouldn't, it's not really a fair comparison in that respect then because if he couldn't have garnered that from any other team, then it's almost an overpay in that respect, especially if we're looking at Terry Francona and he's making about what, 4-ish million, a little over 4 million a year. I think, what was it, 13 million I just said.
And
So
that's fair, because they did give him that deal to get him away from the Cerveceros.
mhm.
You know, so it was, you could
It
say
could have been
maybe
an not
overpay.
an overpay, but there
No,
were definitely some incentives there that maybe another team or maybe even the Brewers were not willing to give him.
well, they had to make it the deal enticing for him to leave the Cerveceros. You know,
Well,
so
yeah, yeah.
so
And
so
the
I get.
fact that they did double this, like I have not had my salary doubled anytime in the recent past. So, you know, not I mean, and is that the thing you're gonna fight over? 1 or 2 more million? Or do you stay and pull like a Theo and a Kike and you're like, all right, well, 8.1 sounds good.
Exactly. So that's why, again, I don't want this people to lose sight on this. It was
Mhm.
more than likely the first scenario that I gave you guys.
Or it's all of the above. It's not mutually exclusive.
Yeah, it just feels, you know, I just,
Especially all the grief he's gotten in years where everybody has called for his head, and then he had a really good year, and then everybody loved him, which I think he deserves that love a little more frequently. Um, but hey, if the end result is that he gets the appreciation that he deserves now from the fan base and, maybe from the baseball world at large, then, maybe that's a non-monetary win.
well, it's not even like that. It's like what Fabian Ardaya wrote in the Athletic on this piece with Dave Roberts, where it's like Dave Roberts went from his last stand because I think a lot of people thought if the Dodgers don't win the World Series last year, you know, Roberts may be on his way out because he's 1 year left on his deal. He's a lame duck manager. And you go from one game away. Again, I can't stress this enough. One game away from being eliminated by the show pods, and it's a completely different story.
Which is
I
so funny because that's where you and I are different too. The one game away, I'm like, that's baseball. That is the beauty of coming back and going forward. We've been on the other side of that the last couple years, and it was nice to be on, the moving forward side of it.
This is the era of the multiverses, Amy. I'm just telling you, there's other timelines there. There could have been a timeline where the Dodgers don't win the World Series and Dave Roberts is no longer the Dodgers manager, but
What
we are
would
living.
I be the negative one on the show in the multiverse?
You'd be Bizarro Amy. Is that what you're saying, Bizarro Amy?
Well, I mean, I'm a little weird as it is. So would
You
that be that
are.
much of a stretch?
You are. And I know people don't believe it, but trust me, she's weird. She's a weirdo. She's very weird. So, of course, congratulations. As I said, it was the worst kept secret. We all knew Dave Roberts was coming back, but I'm
I
glad.
mean, they were on the 1 yard line. I love that they used a football reference for baseball contracts, but hey, whatever.
Exactly. And I'm sure he wanted this done before the season started because he doesn't strike me as the kind of guy that would have been negotiating during the middle of the season.
Let's just
So
tie it up, be done with it. Yeah.
that's right. So, congratulations to Dave Roberts. Let's talk about what's going on in spring training, Amy. What updates do you have?
Oh my gosh, there's stuff all over the board. Should we start with the unicorn?
Why not? That's a good place. A very good place to start.
Okay. All right.
Oh,
I'm
I
ready.
get it. You're the only one who could sing, right? Sorry, Bizarro Amy.
No, we're not in that multiverse. All right. Let's see. Shohei Ohtani. So I'm sure people are losing their minds. They're slow playing him as far as his pitching progression. That has been paused. As we all know, he has not pitched in an actual game since August of 2023.
I'm sorry. Can you clarify why it was paused?
They're managing his workload on the mound. So they're more focused on him ramping up hitting, especially after having that off-season shoulder surgery. And what was kind of in a lot of the different articles that I was reading was basically there's like no proven guideline for a two-way player. Like there's no process. No one knows how to manage it well. And the fact that he's coming off of 2 Tommy Johns and now a shoulder surgery, they're all just being careful. They don't want the intensity of the bullpens alongside the intensity of the games to impact him in a negative way. What I took away from this is there is a lot of communication between him and the trainers. So it's not just like they were like, "Hey, we're done with you. Stop." It sounds like they're communicating about this and coming to it mutually.
Hey, look, I'm going to trust them, and it sounds like the unicorn has a lot to say in this process, and so he knows his body better than anybody. And again, I with the amount of pitchers that the Dodgers have at this time, because everything is fluid,
Oh,
but
and we'll
at
get to that, my friend.
yes, every at this time, the amount of pitchers that the Dodgers have, I don't think you need to rush. I mean, they had already told us May. I'm
And you
personally
were
thinking,
like, May.
yeah, I think June. I think June. I still think June is when we're going to see him.
So you
But
can brighten up the June gloom. We'll have
yeah,
Shohei to look
to
forward
me,
to.
there's no pasa nada. This is no pasa nada story.
Yeah. So, I mean, basically, it just comes down to they don't know when he'll ramp up. They're like we were talking about, they're more focused on preparing for that offensive side. He could face hitters after Tokyo, but they have to start ramping him back up all over again. So they're not really putting a timeline on anything, kind of like what you just said. And, because he's not going to have any rehab assignments because they need him to DH, he will still do those sim games whenever they get back to starting this up. So, it's we'll see him when we see him.
Not only because he's the unicorn, but it's a unique situation that you mentioned, and that is how do you ramp this guy up to pitch while he's going to be playing in games
And
during
I
the
don't
regular
know,
season?
maybe let's not break him.
Yeah, I'm in no rush to see the unicorn pitch. Like I said, I'm preparing myself for June, but real quick, since we're talking about
I
this,
was just gonna say, are you about to lead into what you sent me? Because good
yes.
grief, was that a read?
Yes, I want to go because you mentioned, I mean, there is that dilemma, right? Of how do
Mhm.
you ramp this guy up to pitch during the regular season when he's playing regular season games? And there's a lot of people that have said, maybe it's time for the unicorn to just focus on one side, just being a hitter, right? You saw what he did last year when he just focused on hitting. It was historical, right? Well, Barry Bonds opened his mouth, Amy, and what did Barry Bonds say?
Well, I felt like as I was reading this, what was the thing you said multiple times last week that just because somebody puts a microphone in your face?
You don't have to say anything, but clearly, in this case, Barry is saying this stuff because Barry is still trying to be relevant. Because he's retired, he doesn't play. Where else is he going to get attention unless he goes on a show like this and says something that creates content for people?
So I had so many notes from this article. So what he was saying was that he feels that Shohei's success is a bit blown out of proportion. So while his two-way play has been outstanding and he's a complete player, he's had it easier than players of generations before him. He's saying he won't hit two home runs in a game without seeing one go by, or even steal two bases without somebody decapitating his kneecap to slow him down because it's a different game now. And as I was reading this, the thought that I jotted down was like, are those necessarily good things though? Like, should we be? I mean, I get the unwritten rules of baseball and all that stuff. I understand that. It's not lost on me, but I'm like, I don't know. I don't know. He just kept referring to it being like such a different game that hitters are showing up pitchers now. We've heard the conversation for years now. It got sparked, especially with Fernando Tatis Jr. a couple years ago when he did the bat flip. And so Barry Bonds is basically saying that a lot of that leads to less physical confrontations because people are so much more accepting of like the showboating and things like that. And because players are, taking batting practice all day, they should be hitting better than generations before them. So this is the quote that got me. You hit a home run, you flip your bat up in the air, you run around, get a taco, come back down, and have a limo drive them around. And Barry Bonds wasn't allowed to do that. So he said if he had done that, he would see a star and go to the hospital. And I'm just curious, like, is he? It just comes off as sounding a little bit jealous, but maybe that was my take. I don't know. So that was like the gist of the article without all y'all having to read it.
Look, there's a lot. There's a lot to break down there. I will say this, Amy. I don't think you're wrong in your assessment. I will say, here's the thing, right? In most
Not to take anything away from Barry.
exactly, and this has nothing to do with his ability. Okay, this has nothing to do with his accomplishments or anything like that. But the thing is this happens a lot, and we get caught up in a world where there's only black and white, and we ignore that there's gray, but there's gray in the world. And
What?
so you can say something, you can say a lot, you can throw out a word salad, and guess what? There's going to be some things that you say in your word salad that are true. There's going to be a lot of shit that's going to be, hey, that's bullshit, but there's some stuff then what he is saying is true. Like, for example, would Shohei be able to get away with that stuff in the era of Bob Gibson, where that guy would drill you, or
Right.
Don Drysdale would drill you? Okay. My big issue with this, Amy, is it's the wrong guy delivering the message. And that seems to be in a world where there is
Seems
so
to be
much.
the theme lately, right?
Yeah, exactly. And that's gonna in a world where we're so quick to be self-righteous, sometimes the people that are delivering these messages, while they may have valid points, you get caught up in the point of who's delivering the message. So let's just completely ignore the obvious here. When he says that, he's had it easier than in his era, let's just completely ignore the fact that, bro, you took steroids. You did what you did on steroids. So we've said it out loud. We all right. So let's throw. I'm not even going to take that. I'm not even going to use that against his argument. I'm not. What
Okay.
I am going to use against his argument is something that I have said ever since I saw Barry Bonds playing for the Gigantes. And I say this now, the damn body armor. I think the body armor is a complete cheat. When these guys can go up there and wear elbow pads, basically wear football pads, and stand on top of the plate because they have no fear of getting hit, because when they do get hit, they don't feel anything because they have all this body armor. Allowing players to wear that, to me, changed the approach and made it very hard for pitchers to be able to be on the same level as these hitters. So that's the bigger issue that I have, where it's like he's going off on Shohei, saying that Shohei had it easier. It's like, bro, you were allowed to go up there as like a knight from Sir Arthur's Round Table, King Arthur's Round Table, right? And stand on top of the plate. You don't think that's an advantage? So
It smacks of we all do it, right? I do it in my everyday life, but it smacks of like get off my lawn. Like
yes,
every
yes.
generation's going to have it easier. We're always going to compare. Like back in my day when we had phones attached to the wall and I didn't have to listen to people's personal conversations while I stood in line. Like we could do it all day about stuff. But at the same time, like the game does evolve. It is a very traditional game. It has a lot of history attached to it, but it does evolve, and I think that's what we're seeing here, and every generation is going to have different advantages. And I'm sure that yeah, if you could have played in today's atmosphere, sure, but how would you have fared with the type of pitching that they're dealing with now? Because again, it's not just like, oh, batters had
Oh,
it so much
he had
easier.
an answer for that too. Did you see that?
Go for it.
About the 100-mile-per-hour? Did you see that?
Oh,
Did you read that
I
part?
thought I did. I read the whole article. I didn't get that
According
one
to
down.
him, it's easy to hit 100 miles per hour.
Oh, okay.
So it's
I mean, I'll sit here and I'll like peacock around I hit 120 balls. I hit them in the softball cage. I can hit in the 40-mile-per-hour cage 3 out of 10. But I know my limits and I'm not going to be like, "Oh yeah, I hit 120 in softball, I could go into the 90-mile-per-hour cage." That's just okay. All right.
it's the messenger. It's the messenger that to me is
Mhm.
it's the message. Whenever you start saying how, look, I get it. there are some aspects of back when he played or even further back that to me I think were better baseball. The stolen base was a big thing when he played, even early, very early in his career in the 80s. Now the stolen base is slowly creeping back into the game again. So that I don't want to be completely dismissive of what he said. Back in his day, I don't think hitters were striking out as much as hitters are doing today. I think back in his day, hitters were putting the ball on in play. They were using all aspects of the field. You didn't have to put on a shift back in the day because you knew that a hitter could go the opposite. So
Well,
I,
and did he have to deal with that few years that we had the shift? Like, was that I'm trying to think back. Was it as prevalent back then as it was like in recent years before they banned it?
I don't think it was as prevalent, but
Because the Dodgers definitely took advantage. They took that and they ran with it. I think honestly, I don't even have a problem with him saying all of this stuff. Sometimes to me, it's about tone. It's about how you deliver the message because you can talk about a different time and a different, whatever, but it's how you come off conveying that. And I didn't hear him in real life. I just saw the article, so maybe I missed something.
is there a way, Amy, that he could have said these criticisms without having to put the unicorn accomplishments down?
I think he could have said it without the I think there's complementary ways to say it too. There's always a different way to approach it. He chose to go this route and that's a choice. And, just like you and I deliver messages differently. So, it's
Because it does feel like he's putting down the unicorn's accomplishments, right?
I
I mean,
mean,
there's no other way you can
saying
interpret
well,
it,
he said it's blown a bit out of proportion. I don't know how you take that.
right? I mean, that has to be he's talking smack.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if he's talking smack. I don't know if he realized I don't know. See, cuz that's where I'm just like, did he mean to say this or did he not think his words through carefully and that created that issue?
Well, I think the issue is maybe, and we don't know this for a fact, but I think it's what you said. Uh, And I look, if we really break this down, I don't know if we can say any of what I'm about to say right now is true.
Uh-oh, but you're going to say it anyway.
Yes, because it's the whole psychology of it, and that is he a little bit jealous of the unicorn? Is he upset that the unicorn is getting all this shine? Because when you look at it, he was like, "Bro, you didn't need to do steroids. You were a great player." And so there is this certain belief that the reason why he did it was because Mark McGuire and then Sammy Souser were getting all the shine. And he didn't like that. So he wanted to even the playing field. Because again, let's take into account that those dudes were juicing. So they were doing stuff. And he felt the need, well, let's even the playing field. And look, if I do the juice, my numbers are better than you guys. It goes back to that's why I just have so much more respect for Ken Griffey Jr. when I look back at his career and you saw that the injuries, which I think are completely normal once you start getting into that age, injuries start happening. So I it just feels like maybe I know I could be wrong, Amy, that Barry Bonds doesn't like the fact that people are giving the unicorn his shine, and he just wants to remind everybody how good he was in his day. But the problem is, again, bro, you took juice. You were on the juice.
I think it can to me it could just be simple. Like he was in his feels about it. He said something and there have been times where we've all said things that maybe after the fact we wished we could take back or we were too close to it. He might be too close to his feelings on this and it could just be as simple as that as like, okay, maybe maybe that would have been better said off camera or off interview or to my friends.
This goes out to all you Flight of the Concord fans, if we have any who watch the show. I've got hurt feelings. I've got hurt feelings. We have some
Oh,
more
sure.
updates,
Fly to
though.
the Concord, but know the fall. Okay, got it.
We got more updates from spring training, Amy.
Yes. So Clayton Kershaw was throwing off the mound. So him and Blake Snell had their own little bullpen going on. He's not 100% yet, but he said he's getting there and he feels good. So that was his first bullpen at camp. And Doc said he's pretty pleased with where he's at. So he's right on track. He is not on the travel roster for Tokyo, but he is planning on going separately with his family. He said you don't get too many opportunities to go to Japan with Shohei, and he thinks it'd be pretty cool. So, the fact that he's progressing as well as he is after having foot and knee surgery in November bodes well for everybody who's excited to see him.
And they still have not established a timeline for him, correct?
I didn't see one. No.
So this is another dude that I'm in no rush. Like once he is ready because this is where I remind everybody. There was and I think we've talked about this in prior episodes.
Ooh, tell us a story, Juan.
Story time. There was a point last year, especially with all the injuries to the starting rotation, that he was the best pitcher they had in the starting rotation.
Which is why when he says like, oh, I didn't contribute anything to it, you carried the team over that stretch.
And which is what I just don't think he's done. I think he still has something left in the tank. Now, it may not be a lot. It may look,
Dude, he's got more in the tank than I do. And
I'm expecting him to pitch in the second. I would like to see him after the All-Star game pitch. And I think if he can do that, I think he could be good during the regular season, and he might be able to help in the postseason. So I'm in no rush to see him try to pitch in June or anything like that. Like, bro, if you want to make your debut in August, you do it in August, because what's going to be interesting, Amie, and I know we're going to talk about this as we start next week, because don't look now, ladies and gentlemen, next week the Dodgers are going to be in Tokyo.
We need to get special outfits.
Yeah, next week. I know you've been working on some Tokyo outfits, haven't you?
Oh, well, actually, I didn't do all the work. I can't take the credit. Some of our loyal listeners, Philip and Jessica, went and waited multiple hours in line at Dodger Stadium Saturday morning. They sent pictures from the car line and then the subsequent line up to the store. But I did. I will be acquiring a T-shirt and hat.
And they were in line for what? Can you clarify for our viewers, listeners who don't know what the heck you're talking about?
Crud. Man, it's all the Tokyo gear, but I'm trying to find the artist's name. Do you have it?
Tokyo Series gear designed specifically for the Dodgers with a Japanese theme. Am I correct?
Yes, but I believe there's like an artist that's Takashi. Oh gosh, what is Murakawa? Oh, Murakami. So the artist Takashi Murakami created a line of apparel for Fanatics for the Tokyo trip, for both the Cubs and for the Dodgers. So it's a lot of gear with cherry blossoms on it, jerseys, hats, shirts, long sleeve shirts, balls. The secondary market for this has seen quite the markup if you go on eBay for everybody just reselling it. But yeah, it's already sold out on Fanatics. So there will be pop-ups here and there. I think the LA one is over, at least for the one for this weekend. And I think there might be a pop-up again in Japan itself. So.
Well, look, I'm glad that he's throwing. I'm glad that he's getting ready and that there is a chance that he may pitch this season. And I just feel that if he can pitch, I think we'll see some good stuff for how long, I don't know, but I think we'll see some good stuff from him.
Hey, any time is good time that we can get from him, because that's, if he's going to have a roster spot, he might as well be contributing, which is, I'm sure, how he feels. Because if they make a run for another World Series, that is the goal. He wants to be a part of that.
That's right. Okay, what other updates do we have for spring training?
So you sent me something that, and admittedly, I was a little out of the loop last week, but James Outman he just hit a home run yesterday, I believe, in a game. Was it yesterday? Day before. But you had sent me something about Dave Roberts saying that he was a little uncomfortable.
Well, so let's update the story before we get into this. It was Dave Roberts did say that James Outman will be traveling with the team to Tokyo. Now, quote, he said traveling. That doesn't mean he's going to be on the roster. He could be on the taxi squad that's going with them to
'Cause
Tokyo.
they have a 31-player roster versus the 26-man for the regular season games.
But prior to that, what I think we had on the show, we've talked on previous episodes that the center field position seems to be very fluid. There doesn't seem anything solid in terms of what is the Dodgers' plan for center field. And James Outman is one of those candidates for that center field job. So to hear Dave Roberts say that it just looks that James Outman just looks uncomfortable at the plate, I was not encouraged hearing that from Roberts that Outman would start the season on this roster, but then they came out and said, well, he's going with us to Tokyo. So again, there's no answers to the center field position, Amy. Everything is very fluid. But the thing that concerns me about James Outman is this. He had a great rookie season, finished third in the Rookie of the Year. His sophomore year, he had the slump. Now going into this year, things have not looked better. I'm just concerned for his sake. How many more opportunities is he going to have, especially when you have a roster that is so competitive that you need to perform in order to keep your spot? And if you don't, you're going to go down to the minors.
Well, and it's unfortunate because while we do see most players after a rookie year, especially the rookie year that he had, they usually get to figure it out. They might slump in that sophomore season, but he didn't get the opportunity. He got sent down and Pages got brought up. And so it wasn't all right, cool. He was either able to turn it around or, you know what, he had a funky season and now we know what we're going to do with him. He didn't get the reps in. And it feels like that's kind of the same thing going into this. We are seeing him. I think some of the stats that I saw, he struck out 12 times in 23 at bats, but how many games is he actively getting to play in on a regular basis to get that? Is it enough repetitions, whether at the plate or even in center field? Because Kike just had a interview where he's talking about how he's working on his offense, but balls aren't getting hit to him out in the field. So for him to be season ready, like he says he trusts the process, but he's not getting any plays when he's in games. Like you can practice as much as you want in the backfields, but it's not the same as being game ready. And so I just wonder for James Outman, without getting all of those reps, like that does impact you. So I know that Doc said that he liked what he saw earlier in spring training, but that he had regressed. And that was that comment about he just doesn't look as comfortable. They are working on kind of revamping his swing and he's focused on adding muscle in the off season. But, you know, how do you get him more repetitions?
Yeah, those comments to me just again make center field just a very, very, very interesting conversation.
But he did hit a home run, his first home run of spring training yesterday against the A's. So,
but now you're coming up against time, right? Because they're going to Tokyo next week, and then when they come back from Tokyo, it's just the Freeway Series, and then the season starts. So back to your comment there, Amy, he's running out of time. So they've either already made up their mind what they want to do with him. Well, I honestly think they have made up their mind what they want to do with him, because I don't think there's anything, unless there's an injury, I don't think there's anything that he can do now that will change their mind, because spring training, it's an abbreviated spring training for them.
Well, yeah, tomorrow's the last game and they leave for Tokyo on Wednesday.
Yeah.
So we're recording on Monday. They leave 2 days from now. So they'll have the exhibition games. They're going to have 2 games on March 15th. Oh, the Ides of March, if you will.
This woman is very big on the Ides of March, ladies and gentlemen.
I like my
like
nerdy
a holiday for her, the Ides of March.
Beware. Et tu, Brute. Et tu.
Who knew she was such a Julius Caesar fan?
I had to memorize that, like soliloquies from that play in my
friends, Romans, countrymen, landers.
And then there's that scene in Robin Hood Men in Tights where they're like,
that's disgusting.
Where they all toss their ears.
So I literally went from doing Marlon Brando's Julius Caesar, and you took it to Mel Brooks's Robin Hood Men in Tights. Let me tell you,
it is a classic film.
If there's no other reason to love this show, I present to you Exhibit A. I will bring you culture, Marlon Brando, and she will bring you people
Shit.
ripping ears off and throwing them at you.
But it's I don't know. Give me my stupid humor. Mel Brooks is like, you have to be intelligent to write stupid humor like that. Like you don't just accidentally fall into dumb humor.
Favorite line from Robin Hood Men in Tights: Master Robin, you've lost your arms in battle, but you grew some nice boobs. All right.
That's your favorite one out of the whole movie?
That one cracks me up. Every time it cracks me up. Whenever
Did you say Abe Lincoln?
in a movie that is not one of my favorite Mel Brooks, that line does kill me every time I watch.
See, and I love that movie. I think we shared this before because I had to watch Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves. My brother loved that movie and watched it on repeat. By the time Men in Tights came out, and it was such a ripoff of that, it was just like, oh, this is just relief.
Because unlike some other Robin Hoods, I can speak with an English accent.
Such a good movie.
All right, who had Robin Hood Men in Tights on their bingo card, ladies?
I did. Okay, so so I already had a contract negotiations line here. I'm gonna jump down. Did you hear about Bobby Miller having to dive out of the way from Max Muncy the other day?
Man, dude, I don't know if that is an omen. Beware of the Ides of March, Bobby Miller.
Don't pitch on Saturday. So it was the last pitch of a live BP, and Muncy hit a live line drive right back through the mound. He dropped to the ground. He avoided it, but can you just imagine like that quickly? Like, oh God, not again.
Yeah, that's a tough one. We were talking about center field in the battle of what are they going to end up doing in center field?
Someone will end up out there.
Another battle is for this fifth spot, and so there's a couple of things that I want to ask you about this, because everybody's saying the fifth spot is between Tony Gonsolin and Dustin May, and the Dodgers have said that the decision has been made, and basically whoever stays back from that Tokyo trip is the one who got the fifth spot. And I think it's fairly obvious.
So much last week. Wow.
I think it's fairly obvious who's getting that fifth spot, and that is the Catman. To me, Tony Gonsolin is getting that fifth spot. What I want to ask you, Amie, is
really even though he's pitched less innings?
Because I think he's going to continue pitching here in Arizona while they all go, because I think it's been thrown out there that Dustin may start the season on the injured list, similar to what they did with Walker Buehler last year, to allow him to pitch in the minor leagues and to continue to work. So that to me makes sense. This is why
That's true, because Gonsolin did ramp up at the end of the year and kind of kept that going, where May has, he's still building up. Okay.
And your friend Bill Plunkett, said that they were really close to considering having Gonsolin pitch in the World Series. That's how ramped up he was.
Are you going to go to his book signing?
No, it's okay. I'm gonna pass.
April 1st.
I know you're gonna go I know you're gonna go visit your friend. So
I think I believe I will be there. I think I'm going with my boss. So Culture Brewing in Manhattan Beach, 6:30. Baseball, books, and beer, guys.
Baseball, tacos, and tequila, everybody. But here's my question to you about Dustin May. If they do decide to put him on the injured list and have him pitch in the minors as a rehab assignment,
why wouldn't you just put him in the bullpen?
Well, I think that's what they're going to have to decide, right? Does he go to the bullpen, or what happened to all this talk about a 6-man rotation? Okay. You have Roki and you have Yamamoto. You have two Japanese pitchers that are used to pitching once a week. If they don't go to the 6-man rotation, does that mean they are actually going to allow Yamamoto to pitch twice in a week?
So from what I understood, and I could be totally off base, but because of the way that the shortened spring training, the way that they're going to Tokyo, the way that it like mapped out on the calendar, they don't necessarily need that full 6-man rotation yet. So it is
Okay.
offering them a little bit of luxury of time where, like, the way that it's spaced out, nobody's going to have to pitch on short rest. So if they can kind of figure it out as the season's getting underway, then it's like, all right, to your point, maybe put Dustin May in the bullpen at that point and let him kind of ramp up. I mean, we saw it with both Walker Buehler and Bobby Miller last year. Their ramp ups were, I don't say a little rough, but they were the ramp ups. They hadn't pitched in a while. So if that's the case with Dustin May, do you do it that way to get him his repetitions in, and rather than sending him down to the minor leagues, because we're going to get into it in a second, but we lost another pitcher. Like, we have quite a few that are starting on the IL that we've already talked about on the bullpen, and
Well, let's get into it. Who did we lose?
Michael Grove. He showed up on Sunday with his arm in a sling. Looks like he had surgery, season-ending surgery at that. So he underwent right shoulder labrum surgery, and he's expected to miss the entire 2025 season, according to Dave Roberts on Sunday. So he's only thrown one bullpen, and then he was shut down in late February. He tried to tough it out, pitch through it, but they thought he was compromising his performance and his recovery. So while he's disappointed, that he's basically shut down for the rest of the season.
That really sucks for him. That
he's never really gotten a fair shake to just pitch.
Well, again, it's one of those things where the level of competition to just stay on this roster, losing time to injury, I don't think does you any favors, because Emmett Sheehan's coming back, right? And again, I don't
At some point.
Yeah, I don't expect that until it happens until later on in the season. But these guys that are coming back from injury, they now are ahead of Michael Grove. So if they end up being good, it's just harder for Michael Grove, because sooner or later, Michael Grove was going to have to deal with the issue. Once everybody was healthy this year, it's a numbers crunch, right?
Right.
And I think he was always going to be a candidate because he has options to be sent down. So,
well, and I think we need to remember too, I think we can all be guilty of this. When these guys do come back, they're not going to be like 100% like right out the gate, like, yes, lights out. So there's going to be a ramp up period. So even for the people coming back after the All-Star break, coming back in August, it's going to be a little dicey for a minute while they get their feet under them. So we're going to have to give everybody a lot of grace as they start to come back throughout the year.
Yeah, it really sucks for him. I think you have an update on another pitcher that had surgery, right?
I do.
Did Kevin Stone already have his surgery?
I think he had it last year.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I didn't have him on my list.
I have Stone surgery. I don't know. That's my bad. Sorry. I don't know.
Oh, well, go ahead. Tell us about Stone.
No, I'm clearly wrong on there. So that didn't happen. That didn't happen.
I thought he had his surgery at the end of last year.
No. Do we have any more other updates for spring training?
Just Matt Sauer. I think you had sent me something on him.
He was informed that he was going to be on the Tokyo roster. Right.
So that you don't get a base running blunder. He had shoulder surgery, Gavin Stone, on October 9th, 2024.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Run back. Go back.
Yeah. No error.
No error there. Jose.
No base running blunder there. So Sauer was told after he gave up 4 runs in the last inning.
Like, hey, what a way to go. Like, he's like bummed out, and then
yeah, so he's on the roster. Now, this is a local kid. Okay, this to me, I think, is a feel-good story.
He's from San Luis Obispo.
He's from San Luis Obispo. He had a cup of tea in the major leagues before. He then had he was in the Yankees system, and the Dodgers went ahead and they signed him.
Did you see the stat on him? He was not necessarily a stat, but he was bounced around 4 times among 3 organizations in the last 16 months.
What were the 3 organizations?
I didn't look that far into it because I was at work. I was on my lunch trying to look up some information.
Look, I don't know if he's going to be on the regular season roster once they come back from Tokyo. But for me, I think this is really cool that he gets to go to Tokyo, be a part of this series with the Dodgers, because his mother was born in Okinawa.
Mm-hmm.
And this is why, again, I also feel like a lot of this is an exhibition, Amy, because
While they are regular season games, it is still an exhibition game. It's a little bit of this, a little bit of that.
but I think that's really cool for him to be able to share this with his family, because he did say that he's going to try to make every effort to get his mom to go. I know these tickets are going to be really, really hard to get. I think it's going to be pandemonium for these games.
Well,
So
I think in that respect, though, when you have family members, I feel like there's a little bit of wiggle room there.
that's true. That is true.
But I did, just the fact that Dave Roberts, like, it was a really crappy moment. Like, nobody wants to give up runs while they're on the mound. Oh, sorry. David wants a taco. Got an ambulance going by. It's not you. It's not you. It's me. So
We need to turn that into a drinking game. Clearly, Amy does not live in a good neighborhood, because there's constantly sirens
actually,
going off.
sir, I do. I just live on a main street. Ass.
I've got hurt feelings. I got hurt feelings.
Then they need to lower my rent if that's the case.
Hi-oh.
What I was gonna say was the fact that, like, nobody wants to give up runs, but, like, to know that your skipper's coming to take you off the mound, but then as he's, like, taking the ball and he's like, "Hey, by the way, you're on the travel roster." Like, all right.
Yeah. You know what? You just mentioned Dave Roberts again. I forgot to mention. Do you think that when he signed his extension, he did the breakdance egg roll?
The breakdance egg
You don't remember this video from last year when he was breakdancing and he did the spin?
The dance he did with Ice Cube at the World Series?
No. All right, I'm gonna.
Did it involve a water bottle?
I'm gonna send you the video. I'm gonna send. You never saw this video where he got down and he spun. For all I know, DJ Jesse's out there. DJ Jesse, I know you know breakdancing. I believe that move is called the egg roll. You get on the cardboard, you pull your knees together, and you spin around. I believe that was called the egg roll.
Oh, see, I don't know it by the name. Unless they use that in Breakin' 2 Electric Boogaloo, then I wouldn't know the name.
I think he was in the first break-in. Anyways, if
Oh,
anybody knows,
the first break-in was not that good. The second break-in was better. It's all about Electric Boogaloo.
if we have any break dancing experts on the line, and you guys remember the video of Dave Roberts in spring training last year doing that spin that I refer to as the egg roll. Yeah.
You want me to go back a whole year?
But you don't remember? That is like burned into my head. Him breakdancing like that.
Okay, I mean vaguely. I don't want to.
Are you googling Dave Roberts breakdancing?
I am.
Because probably that dance with Ice Cube is going to come up.
Yeah, it's the dance with Ice Cube.
Yeah, see what I tell you. What I tell you.
So you'll have, that's your homework. Find
That's
it.
my homework.
Send it to me. I don't think he did that. I mean, but who knows? Maybe he did.
He maybe.
Maybe a little like.
I see what you did there. For those of you
abbreviated
robot on the audio
so
portion, you're really missing the show.
I didn't want to hit my microphone.
That the Reina de Playa Larga is putting on YouTube. So go back and watch our YouTube.
I just did the worm. No, I'm just kidding. It was a really mild robot, so you didn't miss anything. Trust me.
Do we have any more spring training updates, Amy?
I think we're out of spring training updates, unless you have some random one I'm not aware of.
No, let's get into some Major League Baseball issues.
Okay, I got to get my screens ready because we're going to try to go high tech. Don't get used to this, guys.
Do you want to start with the hats first?
Yeah.
All right. So I don't know if you guys saw this, that it went viral, but Major League Baseball has these new hats. And I'm so glad that we have visuals. For you that are listening on the audio, I'm really sorry you guys lost out on this. But I don't know if you've seen this because they were all over social media, at least. So it is the traditional...
these snaps, these pictures that I got are from SB Nation, from their articles. So all of the little quotes on here are their funny little additions from there. You can go read their article.
So I'm going to do my best to describe it for those listening on the audio portion. But Lord. It is your traditional hat. So, for example, right now up on the screen, we have the Angels hat. So it is the Angels red hat with the big A in the front with the halo on it. But then behind that angel symbol is the word angels written out. However, the A is blocking the G of angels. So it reads, correct me if I'm wrong, is the correct pronunciation anals?
Yeah.
Would you,
Who
maybe you
approved
can
this?
do a better job of describing it. How would you describe this, Amie?
Yeah, so it's from what I read from the article you sent me, it's an overlap theme for all the major league hats. So all 30 of them got it, where they decided to just mash together, here's the name, your player name, the logo of your name with the actual MLB logo over it, the team logo. And so it's like even with the Angels, you've got the A superimposed over the A that's already in Angels. So like it's just a replica. Like you've got, oh man, I don't know who approved this, but they didn't read it.
Yeah, I don't think it's pleasing to the eye, first
No.
of all. And
A
again,
mashup, like, it's just too busy.
it is. That's a great way of putting it. It's too busy. And again, I don't, for those listening on the audio portion, it is the best way I can describe it is the way the logo is across their uniform. So it's that logo behind the logo on their hat. So like Amie
Mhm.
said, it's very busy, but because they superimpose and they overlap the logo of the hat,
And
it,
didn't
it
have a proofreader.
it doesn't say angels, it reads anals.
Yeah.
So I feel bad for that, but now they're going to be referred to as the Anaheim Anals. That
I see, and when you initially sent it, I was like, "Is this a throwback? Are they trying to go back to, like, not the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim? Like, are they just gonna be the Anaheim?" And then I was like, oh, I see what they did. Okay, it almost makes me wanna buy this hat for a lot of my Angels fan friends.
after it goes viral, I'm pretty sure someone's losing their job over this
Yeah, have
because
they lost it over anything else, though? We've still
they,
got
they,
guys
they,
wearing, like, paper pants and they slide into home, and if they're
like
not wearing leggings underneath it, they're, like, out their business is out to the world.
this is pretty bad, Amie. And this is not the only one. So not only anals, but now the Houston ass hose. This one to me, I think this one's good. Ass hose is really good. So again, it's the H from Houston overlapping Astros. But however, what happens is the H from Houston is blocking the T and the R in Astros. So you don't see that. So what it reads is ass hose. So
Mhm.
we have the anals and we have the ass hose.
Oh,
Okay.
but wait, there's more.
Yes. This one, actually, I didn't.
See, this one I only grabbed because the SB Nation had really funny quips at the bottom. So, like, they said bouncing in the club where the heat is on all night on the beach till the break of dawn. Like, obviously the Will Smith song, like, I'm going to me. Like,
Him.
no,
Woo him. This is Mimi's, or
no,
I don't
we're not
know.
promoting that she-man woman haters club.
No, ma'am. No,
I
ma'am.
know it's no ma'am, but I throw
No,
in the Little
ma'am.
Rascals
No, I'm
version.
telling you, no, ma'am.
No,
We're
no,
not
no,
promoting them.
sir.
No,
No, sir.
ma'am. No, ma'am. We're not promoting them.
Mummy. I
The
don't even know
last
how
one,
many M's that is because the M in the logo for Miami overlaps the I and the A, so all you see are 3 M's and an I.
yeah, this is again, I think someone's gonna lose their job over this.
No, I think
This is
this was the one that sealed the deal.
now this one I think is going to actually be a good this one's gonna sell. This one is going to sell. So this next one here is the Texas Rangers. And for you Spanish speakers, you'll probably get this. If not, this is a good time to put in your SAP button. So it is the T from the Texas Rangers hat overlapping Texas in the back, but the T from the Texas Rangers is covering the X. So what it reads is Tetas. That's right,
Oh,
ladies
and
and
you
gentlemen.
just wait, no, you just cut out a little bit on my side, so you're gonna have to say it again.
Tetas. Tetas.
There you go.
It is Tetas. That hat is, and I think this one's gonna sell. I think this makes a great what month is breast cancer awareness?
I think it's October.
I can totally see the Rangers reselling this hat in pink, saying
Mhm.
"Tetas" across. I do think this one. is going to make, and as the folks at SB Nation say, make sure to get your yearly tetas exam. Prevention is better than the cure. So yeah, I tetas was a favorite of mine. Look, guys,
Oh, was it?
I don't sit here and I don't want to mock because we like baseball on this show. We want baseball to succeed. But sometimes some of the decisions that they make are really head scratchers. And
This isn't the
now
first time this has happened.
they've become the butt of the joke, right? All day long.
The some might say the anals.
Yes, the anals. That's I see what you did there. You are very good.
I'm so tired.
This is almost like an intervention. It's like Major League Baseball. Do better. We want you to succeed. We're rooting for you. Get your shit together. You know. That being said, if you have an extra hat, tetas, I'll take it off your hands.
All right, did you go to try to order one?
No.
Oh, that's
I think if my wife saw me with that, she'd kill me. So
I'm trying to think. Oh, I could get it for you for an early birthday present.
I mean, I could wear it and then just go to Texas and be like, the stars at night are big and bright, deep in the heart of
Oh,
tetas. There we go. Well
I
played.
cannot believe you. Oh man. All
Well
right.
played. You see?
Okay.
See? We're on the same wavelength there.
That's
but
a little
that's not
scary.
it. We still have some more Major League Baseball issues, Amie.
So I saw this article and it's indicative of everything that we've been talking about the last couple weeks. So Manfred and some of the other owners in the MLB are pressuring Stu Sternberg, the owner of the Tampa Bay Rays, to potentially sell his team. So he just walked away from a stadium deal in St. Petersburg, Florida. And we're hearing that there are definitely some people interested in buying the team. So some of the names floated around were Edward De Bartolo Jr.
DeBartolo.
DeBartolo, yeah, you can tell I'm not in football. Yeah. His family owns the 49ers, but he's not involved with them right now. Joe Malloy, who was a former minority owner in the Yankees, and then also, oh man, I can't read my writing. Dan Doyle Jr. Hope it wasn't Don. But I didn't realize until I read this article that they've been trying to find a new stadium for 17 years. Has it been that long?
Look, I've been to that stadium. It looks like it is a baseball field in the middle of a warehouse.
Well, now, especially after the hurricanes, but
and here's a reminder, folks, by the way, they're not playing in that stadium. They're going to be playing, they're one of two Major League Baseball teams playing in a minor league baseball stadium this year.
Mm-hmm.
So
what I found interesting is while Stu Sternberg is making this choice, like he's on a timeline, like he's on the clock because he's risking losing his 60 million that he usually draws from the revenue share pool, which to me is just interesting. Like that he automatically gets 60 million every year or whatever the revenue share is as that changes each year. But like, and you've pointed out certain teams will rely on their farm systems. And then, once they get kind of, for lack of a better word, farmed out and then have to start from scratch rather than actually pay players. But one of the reasons he was using was like, well, we're not as bad as some of the other teams out there. So he doesn't understand why he's potentially getting penalized and having all of this pressure put on him. But it's like, you have the money. Like even the people in the organization were like, we have the money. We're just trying to be smart about where we put it. So since we're going to be somewhere for the next 30 years or whatever. So it's just interesting how we look at things and how some of the owners look at things.
Yeah, something doesn't feel right in this whole thing. This really just seems like it is a money grab. That this is, but what I found really interesting about this story too is how vested Major League Baseball is in keeping the Rays in Florida, whether it's in St. Petersburg, whether it's in Tampa, or there are other reports in that same story that they could maybe move them to Orlando. They want them in Florida. And to me, the reason why I thought that was interesting is because we still are having these conversations about expansion.
Oh, drink, another siren.
So the thing is, just because we're having these conversations about expansion, if you are like, for sure, we have to keep 2 teams in Florida. What is that going to do about those expansion teams, cities, for example, like Tennessee? The state of Tennessee wants a Major League Baseball team. Are they going to sit here and play this whole geographical game that, oh no, we they're too close to Florida, so we need. So I think these other cities that are vying for an expansion team are probably paying pretty close attention to what's going on here. And it was also upsetting to me, Amy, because it's like, why is Major League Baseball so vested in trying to run this guy out when they did nothing about John Fisher?
Thank you. Thank you.
And they, as a matter of fact, man, Freddie would always say, "There's nothing we can do. There's nothing we can do." And now all of a sudden, we're reading stories about them trying to force the Rays owner to sell.
Well, you remember this better than I do. Didn't they compel Frank McCourt to sell?
Well, they didn't. I don't know if they compelled him. They literally just took the team from him.
But the precedent has been set that it can and has been done. So
but here's those were extreme examples. Like what we're seeing there is
17 years of trying to find a new stadium isn't extreme.
Well, no, but with McCourt, he went bankrupt. He had no money.
That's true. Okay, all right.
Yeah. When they did it to Marge Schott with the Rojos, it's because she was, speaking complimentary about Hitler. These are extremes. For all I know, the owner of the Rays still has money to operate the team.
They do.
And
no, that was confirmed.
And he hasn't sat there and said, I love Nazis. He hasn't gone that far.
That's not the soundbite we need.
So exactly, I'm gonna get clipped on that now.
Oh,
so that's why this story to me seems like what is going on here? Like,
well, and as we've had variations over the last couple weeks with the potential lockout that's going to be coming, to me it's like, okay, what we should be focused on versus like a salary cap is compelling some of these managers who are in such a state of stasis to actually do something. That's what you need to regulate. And if not, then we go with what I texted you, relegation.
Look, I
know they'll never do it, but I can see the dream.
But if you see they're going to these extremes, there's no way they're going to support relegation.
Oh, they absolutely would not. And I know that. It's just more of like, you can't just keep throwing warnings and grievances that have nothing backing them at people when, again, this is the conversation I have on a weekly basis with the other people I talk baseball with. It's not fair to the players and it's not fair to the team. To the fans. Think of how spoiled we are and how upset people were 2 seasons ago when the Dodgers didn't spend. And that was like, oh gosh, they didn't spend, but they already still had Mookie Betts, Freddie Freeman. Like, you still had a good team. These are teams that are refusing to spend. Like when we played the White Sox in spring training and Miguel Vargas came up to the plate, I was like, oh, like, I felt bad. He's across the way at this facility and he used to be on this side. Like, and what do? You can't make these owners spend. You can't get them to put more into their teams. But like, I feel like we're just looking at the wrong end of the problem. And now we're looking at this guy and, like you said, we're going to pressure this guy, but we didn't do anything with John Fisher.
Well, it's a story to keep an eye on because, like I said, I don't know what's going on there, but we are going to get an answer fairly soon because of the deadline that they have to get public financing for a new stadium. For all I know, this could have been all a ploy to either relocate, go somewhere else, and get another stadium built, which is not the first time. We've seen a lot of owners do this.
We saw it in the documentary Major League.
Exactly. And again, for me, what's the real curveball is how adamant Major League Baseball is in keeping. What?
Did you just say curveball?
I see what you did there. They want the team to stay at least, hey, we want them to stay in Tampa. We want them to stay in St. Well, look, we'll move into Orlando. Like, what is that all about? So that this is something that it's a story we're going to continue to keep an eye on. And I think we're going to get an answer on this fairly soon. Because like I said, this was something that was coming a long ways away because like you said, 17 years. But there does
Where were
seem
you 17 years ago?
I don't know where I was. I think I was playing
Okay, me
adult
too.
men's softball. That's right.
Okay.
I
Says the guy who still hasn't joined me at the excuse me, at the batting cages.
I'm gonna make it happen. I'm just busy. I just went. Oh, by the way, update, ladies and gentlemen. So every year I go to the beautiful city of Clovis.
Did we miss the update? Oh my god. Yes.
We're gonna wrap things up with this.
I
So
have a
every
couple
year,
things, but this will go great with our latter updates.
every year I go up to the city of Clovis. My daughter plays in a high school softball tournament there. And the last 2 years, I've encountered this waitress. By the way, for those that aren't familiar, Clovis is in Central California.
Yes.
So it's a lot closer to the Giants country than it is Doyers country. So there's a lot of Giants fans. I saw a lot of Giants gear walking around. So I go to this restaurant, and this waitress saw me paying with my Dodger card. And she's like, so she gave me grief because I was a Dodgers fan. So every year we run into each other. So this year, being my daughter's a senior, this was my last trip to Clovis. I thought I was going to be able to say goodbye to her. She was not
No.
there, Amy.
You didn't tell me this was a sad
He
story.
was not there. So like two ships in the night, we don't know what I don't even know what her name is. Yeah, I don't.
I feel
She
like
will.
we're in serendipity with John Cusack.
Yeah,
That's
she will never see this Dodger fan again. So I never got to say goodbye. I never got to say goodbye. So
Well, I have some kind of bummer news.
all right,
To
why
go with
not?
your
Let's
bummer news.
completely just to end the show on a bummer.
Well, I'll raise it back up, but the oldest living ex Major League Baseball player died at 100 years old this past Wednesday in Sonoma, California. Art Schlaylock was a little-known Yankees left-handed pitcher from the 1951-1954 era. So with his death, that moves up a couple guys in the rotation. So Bill Greason, who is 100 years old right now, is now the oldest, followed by Bobby Shantz, who is 99 years old.
Oh, we hardly knew ye.
Yeah, 100 years old. Can you imagine?
That's a good life, but then and again, towards the end, I don't know. There's some people that I'm surprised at how like alert they are in their 90s and all that stuff. So maybe
Oh,
it's
did
not
I
that.
not tell I'm like 80 right now. Just kidding.
Oh.
So yeah, that was bummer for him, but like it sounded like he lived a really good life. So good for him. And the other thing I did want to mention, just for anybody who likes to geek out on stats and things, I just watched a presentation by Bailey Hall. She's a high schooler who's also a SABR member, so the Society for American Baseball Research. She just did a talk on leadoff walks versus leadoff singles, which is worse. And everybody she polled had one answer. What do you think is worse, the leadoff walk or the leadoff single?
Leadoff single.
Interesting. All right. Well, maybe I won't tell you and I'll just let you go seek out her presentation, but it was just really interesting. She had all of these different stats across teams, across innings, and overall there really was no difference. So for everybody who all chose the leadoff, single being or the leadoff walk being the worst, it's the other way around. It's a leadoff single. You were right.
And the rationale to me is because with a walk, you see more pitches. You make the pitcher throw more.
That and you have the opportunity to steal, and it was a really interesting presentation. So if you get a chance, seek her out. I think she actually presented at the SABR conference last year, and so now she's presenting at different conference chapters. So pretty cool.
And now you know, and knowing is half the battle. All right,
Did
so
I
that's
tell you that my friend sent me from Giants country a Dodgers 1978 championship ring?
No, I did not know that.
He does not know anything about baseball and asked in the store to see if they had any stuff. And apparently, the entire store full of Giants people booed him. And then they pulled out some bobbleheads and this 1978 National League Championship ring. And so I just got it in the mail the other day. But it came with a chorus of boos attached.
Oh, you
So
got a lot of bling on you.
I'm not wearing it. It's
You
too
got a
big for my finger.
you got a lot of bling. There you go.
So
All-
that's my happy thought for today so that we don't end on the sad
So we don't
note.
end on a bummer, ladies and
Your
gentlemen.
Clovis just left it hanging.
That's right. Exactly. So that's going to do it for this episode. Again, if you've been listening to us on the audio portion, please make sure you're subscribed to the podcast, rate us, write us a review. If you're watching us on YouTube, make sure you're subscribed to our YouTube channel. Hit that notification button. Give us a thumbs up. Leave us comments. We love engaging with you. And most importantly, make sure you're following us on social media on X at BB Shangri-La, on Instagram, YouTube, and Bluesky at Baseball Shangri-La. That's going to do it. This episode, I think, is probably going to go down in the annals of being one of the best episodes. I think we had like no ash hose on here. And again, we're out there to try to save all that does. So for those of you, nos despedimos con un beso. She is Amie Cuevas. I'm Juan Ramirez. Amie, say goodbye to the people.
Goodbye, people.